Alright, so my other option here that I like is water stones. So that's what I'm going to use for this next blade. I keep my water stones in water. I know it makes sense, right? So you should either keep them wet or wet them before you use them, like soak them so that they stop bubbling, stop giving off a little bit of air, and that will tell you that they're ready to use. I've got this little thing here to hold them. You don't need that. Just putting them on a piece of wood with a rag on it is perfectly sufficient. And my water stones are all in Japanese grits, which isn't quite the same as North American grits, so just keep that in mind. I also flatten them after I use them, so I'm not going to be doing that right now, but keep in mind that you do need to flatten them before you use them if you don't keep them that way. All I'm going to be doing, this one's already been done pretty much, this blade like I mentioned, so I'm just taking the corners off. I'm going to start with 1000 grit here. And just take off those corners. Kind of trying to spread the damage so I don't gouge into this stone. Unlike diamond stones, these things don't stay flat, so make sure you work all the way around them if you can. Alright, so now I've rounded off the edges a little bit there. I need to go in and pull that burr off on the other side. Making sure that this is good and flat on here. Just taking that edge off that I've created. And let's do that once more. Alright, so that was with the 1000 grit stone. And obviously, since that's less smooth than what I finished with before, I've left some areas that need to be polished up a bit. So I'm going to quickly do that. Moving on to my 3000 grit stone here. I'm just going to start with this and give the whole thing a quick shot. Switch to this side. And give the whole thing a quick shot over here as well. Alright, now I haven't been using my Angove stone, which I keep in a Ziploc here, which makes this faster because I don't really need to at this stage because this blade is already sharp. Now, if the blade weren't sharp, I would be doing that. Now I'm going to switch to my high grit stone. Here I have 6000 grit, so a significant jump. And now I'm going to use a little bit of this. I like to apply mine directly to the stone, obviously. I shouldn't say obviously. It's obvious that that's what I like. It's not obvious that that's what you should do. Some people like to apply it to the blade instead. I'm not sure why. I don't do that. Now you have to be careful with these high grit stones, especially these big ones. The blades do tend to stick to them, so keep that in mind. And they're a little bit softer, so you have to be careful that you don't gouge into them. I learned that one the hard way. I'll actually show you that. It's on the 10,000 grit side of this stone. These ones in particular need to be flattened carefully because they are so soft comparatively. If you're worried about gouging into the surface, you can alleviate that a little bit. It's not an issue when you're doing the flat side. You're not going to gouge into the surface that way unless you're out of control. But when you're up like this, sometimes there's a chance of gouging in. So what you can do is just slide forward gently and apply pressure as you come back. Some Japanese sharpeners like to do it that way. And it is a safe option. It just might take an extra couple minutes, but it's worth it to avoid wrecking your stones. So maybe keep that in mind as an option, and I'll show you why here. You see that? That's why. I was sharpening this or one of my other blades, and I just kind of gouged right in there. Now I've flattened the top of the stone, but I haven't flattened that because it's a fair ways in there, so I just flattened the whole surface, and eventually I'll get through that. But it's an irritating mistake, and you will want to avoid making the same. Alright, this guy's looking pretty sharp. Let's get to our final grit here, 10,000. Flatten the back of the blade. Now you'll notice some black stuff accumulating. It happens on all the stones. It's easiest to see on this one because it's white. Don't clean that off. That's the little bit of metal that's coming off of your plane blade, but it is actually helpful and allows the blade to sharpen quicker. It's kind of like using that stone. See, this one's very soft. I actually almost gouged into it a little bit more there. So on this particular stone, I only pull when I'm doing this. I slide forward with no pressure, and then I pull back with pressure. Alright, and then to finish off, I just almost strop it with this stone. Now, just like before, once you're done with the stones, it's good to give it a strop on the actual strop. But let's test this out. Got a pretty nice polish on there. Gonna have no hair left on my arm by the time I'm done today. Takes it off quite easily. Ew, finger's wet. Alright. And I'm just gonna give this a quick run over on the strop here like the other one. Alright guys, so that's how I prep new plane blades. The water stones I find work a little bit better, so if you're wondering what my preference is, it would be those. I think that they deliver a slightly nicer, more even, and just a touch sharper finish on those. But they're also much more expensive and a little bit more difficult to acquire. So if I were a hobbyist and I only needed to get one, I would imagine that the diamond stone combo unit there would be more efficient and probably better bang for your buck. But if you are kind of doing this a lot and you're really concerned with quality, maybe go for the water stones. If you're doing this a lot and you need something that's going to work quicker because you need to touch up your tools all the time, there are other options. I'm not really the guy to talk to about that because I don't use any of them, but there are some machines that get this stuff done quicker and with comparable quality where maybe you just have to touch it up on the water stones after. But I don't own any of those things because I don't have any money because I'm not that good at this. So that's how I do it. If you have any questions, let me know. And as always, thanks for watching. See you next time.